let's talk about the ending of the conference finals. First of all, LeBron in this decade, 9 out of 10 NBA finals. It's almost like put LeBron on your team and you've got a chance to win a championship. What he did in the closeout game with the triple-double. It's been said so much now that it's a cliche, but we take for granted his longevity, his greatness. We just keep seeing it over and over again. And it's just special, man. It's like we don't need to get into the debate about who's the greatest player ever. Let's just appreciate LeBron in year 17 doing amazing things.
I thought one of the most telling stats that people were spreading around last night was LeBron by himself has more appearances than 27 NBA franchises in the finals.
That's a great stat. I also saw another one where he's either in the top 3 or top 4 individuals ever in finals appearances. And keep in mind, the guys who did it before him, like Bill Russell or Kareem, they were playing against, Bill Russell played against 8 teams for some of his career in the league. 8 total. To get to the finals, you had to win 2 series. Kareem was playing against 18 teams, 20 teams, 24 teams. Like, we should all appreciate the greatness there. And we've talked about this a ton. It's very difficult to compare players from different eras. But what he's done in this age, in this era, is just insane. It's insane.
LeBron aside, I mean, what more at this point is there even to say? Who else about the Lakers has been surprising in terms of them getting to this place? Because as amazing as he is, and honestly as amazing as Anthony is, you can't make it to the finals with 2 guys.
Well, so I think if anyone could beat the Lakers in a 7-game series, it was the Clippers. The Clippers didn't get there. Here's the interesting thing about the finals. The Lakers have the 2 best players, LeBron and AD. Jimmy's great. Jimmy is in a different tier. You could probably make an argument right now based on the playoffs in this season that Bam is in that tier. The Heat have the next 5 best players easy. No argument. No argument. Bam, Jimmy, Duncan, Tyler Herro, Goran Dragic. And then you throw in Jay Crowder and Iguodala, and it's like, well, the Lakers have the 2 best, but after that, the rest of the best players in that series all play for the Heat. So I think the depth of Miami, the adaptability, the ability to play different ways, it just makes them super unique. I have a hot take. Well, it's not a hot take. It's just,
let's hear it.
And I say, here's the thing. I think I've said this to you privately. If the Miami Heat win the NBA Finals, it affirms everything that I believe about basketball. You don't need 3 ball-dominant superstars to win a championship. What you need a couple horses, which they have, but you need a bunch of guys who are willing to star in their role. You need body and ball movement. You need great coaching. You need adaptability. And for the teams and the fans who consistently sign up for these big threes and the dream teams and the 2K teams that on paper look great, but chemistry-wise, they never work, the Heat winning would just affirm what I believe about basketball.
This is not going to change the more frequent commentary we've gotten from listeners that this is an extremely pro-Heat podcast, which it is, as one of our correspondents plays for the Heat, but we're pro a lot of different teams.
I'm pro good basketball.
I want to go back to
pro good basketball. Hold on. I want to say one thing real quick, though. We were ahead of the curve on this.
We were.
We've been talking about this since March.
When we sat with Jimmy and Duncan in March in New Orleans the night before they played you guys, and they both told us this was going to happen. I think I don't remember what the Heat record was at that point, but I think we were both a little bit skeptical, but everything they've said has come true. Everything Jimmy has predicted this to a T, and Duncan, who hasn't been there before, but he understood that there was something special happening with this team as well.
Yes. I looking back in March, I didn't think they were necessarily a championship team at the time, but what we've said for the last 2 months, who is built for the bubble?
They are.
The Miami Heat.
They are. They were ready.
They're built for the bubble.
They came
ready.
ready.
The other thing I want to say just briefly is, you're obviously, a huge NBA fan, but in looking at the two Eastern teams that made it to the conference finals, it's pretty clear that not only the better team won, obviously, but it's pretty clear that the Heat have a better chance to beat the Lakers and LeBron than Boston. Yeah, I think if Boston had somehow won that series, that's a 4-game, 5-game series where I think the Heat can really challenge them, and this could go down similar to like the 04, let's say the 04 Pistons beating the Lakers. Like this is what this team reminds me of the 04 Pistons.
Well, and then Bam. I mean, Bam's the big wild card in that. We talk about somebody like Anthony, who is sort of transcendent physical talent and is unguardable on most days. But somebody like Bam, who knows if he's? I mean, no one's going to slow him down for the whole series. But Bam is has taken such a jump defensively this season, and Boston didn't have anyone like that. So if Boston plays the Lakers, I don't know who's going to stop Anthony from scoring 35 points a game.
Boston has some really good individual defenders. Brad is a great defensive coach. I'm not going to knock their defense. I just think matchup wise, they did not have an answer for LeBron, and they did not have an answer for AD. And if you look at Miami's roster, Iguodala has proven that he can challenge LeBron defensively. I think Jay Crowder does a nice job. Spoelstra's willing to mix things up, and Bam's versatility, which give credit to D'Angelo Russell on this podcast calling it.
Called it. Yeah,
it's so valuable. I wouldn't have said this pre-bubble. Bam Adebayo is probably a top 10 player right now.
Playing like it, that's for sure.
His value is that high. His value is that high. It's going to be a fascinating series. I'm really excited about it. We've talked a bunch about the bubble and how well it's turned out. I just want to acknowledge for a second the level of play. It's been so good. We've talked about it a couple times, but the level of play has been so good in the bubble. Yeah, it's been so fun to watch as a fan. Obviously, still super jealous that I'm not there, but you know what? I'm doing okay. I have my mustache.
Yeah, the stash looks amazing.
My mustache and a glass of red Burgundy, and
What's
I just
better?
get to be a basketball fan for a few weeks. It's great.
Let me go back to the Lakers for a second. But I think there are examples. Obviously, Iggy on Miami. But the example in the Lakers I want to talk about for a second is Rondo. So he's undoubtedly been a huge positive for them over the last couple of weeks in a way that I think a lot of people, even people around the team and Laker fans, probably didn't expect. What do you think it is? And then Iggy tonight in Game 6, would he hit 5 threes? He's a guy that has not shot well basically the entire time, and he comes in a closeout game and hits 5 threes. What do you think it is about certain vets? Is it just instinct, where like they get into these moments and they've just been there before? Both of these guys are champions, and the moment doesn't become too big for them, because we're seeing a pattern with both of these two.
Well, it's a great question, first of all, and the similarity between the two is spot on. I don't think it's necessarily experience. I think it is instinct. I think those guys are just winners, and their value. Both of those guys, their value is so high on good teams. If you put Iguodala on Detroit, I don't know what his value is. We saw Rondo in New Orleans. Like, yeah, he averaged a lot of assists, but he needs to be surrounded by other smart, competitive, talented players. And Iggy's the same way. Iggy's value in Golden State was so high. It's the same. Draymond's another example of this. Like Draymond, with the right players, he's great. And to see them just carve up, right? They're carving up Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals games. It's just awesome to watch.